Okay, so let's talk about how marriage is one of the biggest scams ever created.
Somebody hurt you, my boy. Who hurt you?
Marriage is like the lottery. You're probably not going to win.
It's just honestly a way for every greedy little monster to get their hands on this billion-dollar industry. It has nothing to do with love or flowers and the romantic dates and the rom-coms and the songs. So if it was just about love and commitment, why do we need to get the government involved? Seems like a crock of shit to me. But when did all this insanity even begin? Because you would think it had something to do with the church, since most marriages happen inside a church, but it had nothing to do with religion. Oh wow, is it a conspiracy by the government? Kind of. Let's peel back the layers and find out. Marriage itself has origins that date back to before the beginnings of Christianity. It was actually the ancient pagan cultures that first developed the concept of marriage. Marriage used to be a simple exchange of property, and also a way to ensure survival and for family lines to carry on. Of course, the church had to get involved and make what was a private alliance between families into an institution full of strict rules, rituals, and restrictions.
Who invited you?
In 1215, the Roman Catholic Church made a proclamation called the Banns of Marriage. It was a legal notice made by the church that joined a man and a woman in the name of the Blessed Trinity. What used to be a symbolic contract of property was now a contract with God Himself. Yes, the church changed marriage, but that wasn't the end of things. It was almost 100 years ago that another powerful entity decided to get its hands all up in the institution of marriage.
The government!
In 1929, the US government put laws in place that would require a marriage license for every couple who wants to get married. This right here, this would forever change what marriage means. Today in the US, marriage is a legally binding contract, meaning a couple is required to get a marriage license from government officials in order to be legally married. Then of course, if you decide you no longer want to be married, you need to go back to those government officials and legally end your marriage. So essentially, the government has complete control over the marriage. But why the hell does the government have to step in and be involved in marriage? It's like, oh, you love me, I love you, let's get the government involved. What the fuck? That makes no sense. Anytime the government is involved in anything, it's inefficient, it breaks, and it pisses people off. Marriage means more money, not only for our government, but also for lawyers, specifically divorce lawyers. Of course, you didn't go into marriage thinking it's going to end. You didn't put all that time, money, and planning into something that was gonna fail. Unless you were my parents. You might even think that marriage is perfect and that it's forever and you're in this little bubble of love. But if we're being real, the numbers do not lie. Divorce happens a lot. In the United States, your chances of getting divorced can fall anywhere between 40 and 50%. On your second marriage, the chances are even higher at 60%. They say third time's a charm, but the numbers don't really say that. 73% of third marriages end in divorce. When you break it down by state, divorce rates vary a lot. In 2019, Arkansas ranked at number 1, followed by Oklahoma and Nevada. Maine came in at the bottom of the list, and I personally think it's because there's not shit to do in Maine. I mean, look at where that is. No one has ever said, hey, let's go to Maine and have a good time. What the fuck is that even a state? Why are you here? Bye. However, the US Census Bureau determined that there's 3 main reasons why couples get divorced. Number 1 is incompatibility, which is, yeah, no shit, right? You just don't match. Number 2 is infidelity. Basically, if they're a whore, a cheating whore, and they belong to the streets. And the third one, take a guess, it's money. The laws governing divorce vary by state depending on where you live. It can be a quick affair or it can take months, even years. For most states, there is a waiting period. For example, in Utah, it's 30 days. But in California, it's 6 months. And once you're finally divorced, your state may require you to wait a certain amount of time before you can get married again. Wisconsin requires you to wait at least 6 months before you lock yourself in again. Which, by the way, if you're getting married less than 6 months after your divorce, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like someone getting in a car crash and they're like, whoo, that was close. And then they're like, yeah, let me drive in the rain again blindfolded. Dude, you just got a major free pass, move on. But hey, third time's a charm, right? Divorce is expensive and wears people down. So when you go through a divorce, you're in no place to tackle all the legal details. You're probably stressed out the ass and trying to figure out how to get your shit together. You need help. So what do? You hire a divorce lawyer. Someone who's gonna hold your hand and walk you through everything. And are they gonna do it from the goodness of their heart? Of course not. They're gonna take every penny they can on their way out. The divorce industry is totally a thing. Divorce means big money. The average divorce lawyer charges about $250 an hour. And you have to think about it this way. Whenever a couple no longer finds themselves, like we said, the top 3 reasons, they're either not compatible, or there's money issues, or one of them cheats, who is the most incentivized to prolong that divorce process and fuck people out of the most amount of money? Lawyers charge by the hour. So of course they're gonna drag shit along. I'm painting a pretty morbid picture on marriage, but between 2009 and 2019, divorce rates actually went down. But why is that? Are people just loving each other a lot more than they used to? They finally see that they're meant for each other and they're never gonna separate themselves? Of course not, dude. They hate each other. Everyone still hates each other the same. Divorce rates are down because marriage rates are down. A lot of people don't really see a lot of sense in getting legally married. That data reflects that some couples are just choosing to live together and basically be together. Basically be married. I mean, a marriage is just that. It's a fucking commitment saying, hey, I'm gonna be with you, I'm gonna take care of you, we're gonna take care of each other. And you don't need a fucking contract for that. You just have to not be a piece of shit. I'll say this, if you need a piece of paper to not be a piece of shit in your relationship and not commit to the person, then you're probably with the wrong person anyways. So that being said, does marriage even make sense anymore? Not really. Society's views on marriage are changing. The definition of a real marriage is also changing. A commitment is a commitment. You don't need a signed contract to be committed to somebody. Marriage is no longer the norm, nor is it as critical as it once was. The whole idea of happily ever after, of raising a family together, can all happen without being married. I mean, marriage used to be weaponized, a way to control people, not to mention that you are legally bound to that other person, and that only means that you're legally responsible for all their bullshit, the good and the bad. Not to mention that both sexes have a lot more autonomy than they used to before, like women aren't dependent on men to pretty much have financial freedom. But aside from that, marriage, I don't see any reason why the government should be involved. If you like that person, if you love that person, say it with your chest, bro. And just fucking commit, bro. Just love that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? But what the fuck do I know? I've never been married. I'm a 25-year-old piece of shit making videos for the internet in his room. So what do you think? Do you think marriage should continue to be a legal binding contract so it can protect those just in case one of them does decide to bail out? Or should it just be a verbal commitment like it used to be, a bond between two families or two people, and just, whatever happens, happens. See you next week. Love you like a headache.